The Dragon Ball Games Battle Hour will be happening on January 27th and January 28th. But on January 28th is when we're going to be getting all of the big information concerning Dragon Ball media. One of which concerns something that a lot of us are excited for, and that is none other than the next trailer for Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. So it made me ask this question on Twitter. So I asked, Dragon Ball community, talk to me. Now that we know Dragon Ball Sparking Zero will be getting a new trailer on January 28th during the Dragon Ball Games Battle Hour, what are you hoping they reveal? Characters, stages, features, etc. Let me know. Might use this for a video. So today we're going to be going through a lot of the responses because they could quite literally show us anything in that trailer, and I am curious to see what you guys would like to see. Infamous J literally made it as plain as day, but they said hopefully a release date and maybe a beta or demo version in the works. So I think that's probably one of the most safest options that you can say concerning Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. I believe I also mentioned this in a previous video, but for Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, it makes sense that there will at least be a beta, and of course, you know, hopefully we'll get a release date. Now, during this event for that trailer, do I think we'll get a release date? It's not impossible. It's not impossible because I'm viewing back on previous Dragon Ball games where they announced it early, but we got a release date relatively early as well. If I'm not mistaken, when they announced Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2, they announced that very early in 2016, and I believe we also got the release date in that first reveal. I generally don't remember, it's been a while, but I do know that the game got released shortly after its announcement. So it's possible with Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, where during the second trailer, maybe they show us something big, right? Like maybe we get like a glimpse of story mode, maybe we get to see some more characters, we get I guess a view of more combat, like whatever the case may be, right? And then at the end, they hit us with a release date, and then they'll say, make sure to like pre-order the game now to get access to like maybe a closed beta that'll be happening soon, or whatever the case may be. So it's not impossible at all, but personally speaking, I don't think that it'll be a release date. I think we're probably more in line of getting a release window. That's where I'm kind of setting at right now. Now, again, don't get me wrong. If we got a release date, I would much rather prefer that. But seeing as though they haven't really given us too much information concerning this game, I'm more inclined to believe that if there's any type of release information, it'll be a release window first and then a release date. But again, not opposed to a release date at all, but I'm thinking it's probably gonna be a release window, because as long as I see 2024 on there, I'm happy. Hopefully I don't butcher this, but is it Wasahin? Like, if I butchered your name, please let me know, and I'm so sorry if I did. But they said there are too many things, but one thing is standing out. Give me my original Super Saiyan fluffy hair Goku, plus story sneak peek, stages, alternative outfits, actual gameplay, some mini games, release date, and pre-order bonus. So when it comes down to Goku with, like, you know, the fluffy Super Saiyan hair, obviously like when he first turned Super Saiyan on Namek, I'm actually inclined to agree. And the main reason is because they're not prone to not doing that. When it came down to, I believe, Tenkaichi 3 for sure, and I believe Raging Blast 1, they actually did that. They replicated his original hairstyle from when he turned Super Saiyan. And obviously in the games, it looked pretty good, right? But I guess in this particular case, that also kind of, it would fall under if they decide to do variations of Goku again, like for example, early, mid, and end again. We do know that there will be variations of Goku based on what the official Dragon Ball accounts have said, promoting Goku Super. So just by classifying him as Super, by default, we can easily deduce that there's going to be variations of Goku, whether they do early, mid, and end again, which obviously end wouldn't be end anymore because Dragon Ball Super exists. Or they can probably section it as like Dragon Ball Z, GT, obviously, because Kid Goku GT is a thing, and Super. So if they section it like that, it's possible. It's definitely possible, not improbable, because even the way how I'm seeing it is it could be early, mid, and end. And then obviously mid would have the first iteration of Super Saiyan, and that would have the fluffy hair. But they could also just do, I would assume, if it's like Dragon Ball Z, GT, and Super, and that's how it's varied, then for Z, they could have obviously Super Saiyan Goku be selectable, but a different, I guess, variation of Goku within said character could have that hairstyle, right? And it's not just him either, because both Vegeta and Trunks have like that fluffy hairstyle as well. So they could potentially get those as well, but that's a little bit less likely because they haven't ever done that before. So I would love to see it, but that's completely dependent on how they want to go about it. And then when we get to the story sneak peek, of course I want to see that, because you guys already know I'm excited for this story mode, because it'll be, if I'm not mistaken, the first Dragon Ball game to natively, I'm talking about not DLC, not as an add-on or anything of the sort, it'll be the first Dragon Ball game to have Super integrated in the story by default. I'm talking about base. And we already know that because Broly is already a confirmed character for the game. So there's no way in the world Super is not going to have their story mode on the base game at all. On top of that, stages, I do want to see more stages, especially the Tournament of Power. I really do want to see how they went about making the stage. If there's going to be some like unique things about it, like the whole like timer thing, which is like the pillar in the middle. I want to see if maybe that will go down as a battle goes on, or whatever the case may be. Alternative outfits, of course, I do want to see that. Actual gameplay. Now remember, in the trailer that we got, that was actual gameplay. It was, but I understand what they're saying here. Like, you know, maybe with the HUD, people actually, you know, showing them controlling the characters, you know, all that sort of stuff. So down for that. Mini games, I would love to see that too. And then of course, release date and pre-order bonus. I already talked about the release date earlier, but a pre-order bonus would be nice. I'm hoping it's not a character, but Bandai is not like, you know, they've used characters as a pre-order bonus before, right? Or like an early unlock incentive, right? They did that for Fighters. They did that for Xenoverse 2. I don't remember if they did that. No, they couldn't do that for Kakarot. It's not really possible, but they're not, you know, prone to not doing that. So a pre-order bonus, it's obviously going to happen. Is it going to be a character? I don't know. I just hope that if it is a character, it's not a super hype character like Beast Gohan, because I would much rather have him be on the base roster. But everything else on this list, I agree with. Surge Omega said, Ndukauba, if you're seeing this message, add this comment to your video. Dragon Ball Sparking Zero might deserve characters from other Dragon Ball video games like Legends, Dokkan, and Xenoverse 1 and 2, along with some fusions from Dragon Ball Fusions, as well as Super Dragon Ball Heroes characters. That's all. Okay, now I gotta make sure I lay this as plain as day. I've talked about this in a few live streams, and also this is kind of just like relatively common knowledge, and I just want to preface before I get into it, I love y'all, and you guys know how much I love Dragon Ball, so please understand when I say, do I believe that we're gonna be getting Legends, Dokkan, Xenoverse, Fusions, or Heroes characters in Dragon Ball Sparking Zero? No, I don't believe that for a second. Now, obviously, Bandai can do whatever they want, right? Do I believe that there is a possibility? Of course, because there's a possibility for anything. Do I believe there's a probability of that happening? Absolutely not. And the main reason is because when it comes down to crossing over characters into different Dragon Ball games, there has to be some sort of give and take. And more often than not, when it comes down to a game that has a general roster, they're less inclined to be able to do collaborations because they can definitely take, but there's nothing to give. That's the thing. Now, of course, anything is possible. Absolutely anything is possible. But if Heroes has taught us anything, with the very, very special exception being Dokkan collaborating with Heroes, it's that these type of collaborations don't happen. They don't. Now, of course, if Sparking Zero had like a very, very special character, right? Kind of like Android 21, for example, right? Then maybe, and that's a big maybe, right? But if anything, we've seen in recent time that these collaborations don't happen. And again, I said the very, very special exception of Dokkan, because Dokkan came out around the time where a lot of these things concerning collaborations weren't really put into effect, which is why Dokkan has like a ton of Heroes characters, right? And even they have characters from Dragon Ball Fusions as well. But again, that game was out around the time where those type of restrictions weren't really in the game, and they're still kind of doing what if characters like that. But all in all though, would I love to see these characters cross over into Sparking Zero? Absolutely. I mean, bro, you put Shallot, I mean, you put Mira, Toa, Few, like you put what else? Mechikabra in there. Like you put all of those characters in Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, I would go ballistic. Heck, Super Saiyan 4 Vegito, like those type of characters, I would go absolutely crazy for. And actually, it'd be kind of crazy to see Karoli in this game as well from Dragon Ball Fusions, as well as what Karoli Black, Janenbu would be another cool one, like etc. But again, as cool as that would be, and as much as I would personally love to see that, do I think it's gonna happen? No. Kaden Ander 73398 said, hoping they reveal more characters, really curious on how big this roster could actually be. Judging by the last trailer, it'll definitely be big, but could it be bigger than Xenoverse? Okay, so one thing I do want to note is before Xenoverse got its DLC, because it has a ton of, I mean, we're at DLC 17 at this point, it's crazy. Before Xenoverse got DLC, Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 3 had the largest character roster for all of the Dragon Ball games, excluding Heroes. Again, Heroes, very, very special circumstance, but Tenkaichi 3 had the largest roster. And then, of course, Xenoverse 2 got so much DLC that, if I'm not mistaken, now Xenoverse 2 has the largest roster. Now, here's the thing, right? When it came down to Xenoverse 2, Xenoverse 2 has the largest roster because a lot of the characters they added into the game primarily revolve around a series that wasn't around when Tenkaichi 3 first came out, and that's Dragon Ball Super. So, of course, where Tenkaichi 3 has Dragon Ball characters, it doesn't have super characters. And then, of course, with Xenoverse 2, they have super characters, but they don't have Dragon Ball characters. So, with Sparking Zero, if they decide to include both Dragon Ball, and we already know Super is confirmed, and of course they're going through Dragon Ball Z, and there's no way in the world GT will not be in the game, then by default, Dragon Ball Sparking Zero will have the largest character roster, I would say, out of the console games. Again, I'm really trying to keep Heroes out of the way because it's a very special circumstance, right? So again, excluding Heroes, if they do include Dragon Ball in Sparking Zero, alongside, of course, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball GT, and confirmed Dragon Ball Z, then Sparking Zero will 100% have the largest character roster out of all the console games, bar none. Like, it won't even be close, right? And that has me excited because one thing that we know about the Tenkaichi series is they are well known for having a large roster. And not just, you know, like having like super hype characters and all that stuff. They have like those, like, bro, what is this character doing in the game type characters, right? Like Frieza Soldier, for example, right? Like, you don't really want to play as Frieza Soldier, but it's cool that Frieza Soldier is a playable character, right? And plus, like, more characters could like flesh out the story mode. And for all you know, like, the game could have like that one character where it's like, man, like, this character, like, I don't want to play as them, but you play as that character and you find out, holy crap, that character's broken, right? I mean, I've had multiple instances with that, well, not with like Tenkaichi 3 or anything of the sort, but like with other Dragon Ball games, right? For example, in Dragon Ball Heroes Ultimate Mission X, Chaozu is one of the most broken characters in the entire game. Chaozu, right? So it's like you never know what you're going to expect when it comes down to these games, because you could have that, bro, why is this character in the game type character? But they could be super fun, they could be super broken. You have no idea, but that's the fun thing about it, right? And not only that, it's like, you never thought, for example, we would say, again, using Frieza Soldier as an example, Frieza Soldier versus Super Saiyan Rose Goku Black. It makes no sense, but you can do it, right? And giving us the option to have those type of battles happen is it's a type of freedom that everybody absolutely enjoys when it comes down to the Tenkaichi series. And if I'm not mistaken, it's already confirmed that the Tenkaichi series is going to have a mind-blowingly big roster. I forgot if it was like an interview or something after the trailer came out that they got the confirmation that yes, like the roster, it's going to be record-breaking, right? Quote unquote. So I'm excited to see what happens, but I do know for a fact that that roster compared to Xenoverse 2, night and day. I mean, dude isn't wrong, right? Vegito72 said, Vegito. That is all. Watsubi said, I would want to see some gameplay. Hopefully we can get those different combos like pressing triangle or circle mid combo. Now, when it comes down to the trailer, I don't think that they would actually show us like, for example, like button inputs concerning all of that. But I would actually like to see some combos, right? And the reason is because when it came down to the trailer, we saw combat, but we saw zero combos whatsoever. But they did show us some things that would be in the game. Again, we saw beam struggles, we saw a blast deflection, which makes its first appearance in the Tenkaichi series, and I guess a slight bit, not even like combat really, like I was gonna say in combos, but we saw like knockbacks and all that stuff. We saw like some evasions and whatnot, which was pretty nice. So we got a bit of what we can expect, but I do want to see a bit more concrete combat, right? Like what makes it different from Tenkaichi 3, right? What did they do to refine the combat to elevate it to a completely new level, right? Like, because when it comes down to Tenkaichi, it has to be exhilarating, right? Like if it's not, nobody's going to be interested in playing it. So we gotta have some sort of combat that is gonna keep us engrossed, engaged, and wanting more, right? And the Tenkaichi series has never disappointed when it came down to combat. Like it's always been solid, but they gotta find a way to make it better than Tenkaichi 3, which is gonna be crazy because Tenkaichi 3's combat was really good, but not impossible because Tenkaichi 2's combat was also really good. And Tenkaichi 3 found a way to surpass that. So again, like I said, I'm down to see different combat in the next trailer. And again, if not that, then just some characters. But all in all though, seeing how the game plays like in the next trailer would be nice. Grizzly Puma 6 said, in my opinion, I honestly don't know what to expect because this is gonna be my first Dragon Ball game in the Tenkaichi series. I come from Dragon Ball Xenoverse being my first game, and so by the looks of it, it seems to be the series of all time, and I cannot wait to play it. Okay, so I'm actually glad that they said this because I've talked about this a multitude of times on Twitter, on YouTube, and on Twitch. There's a lot of people that actually don't know how big of a deal this is. There is a reason as to why people believed Tenkaichi 3 to be the best Dragon Ball game of all time, right? Now, obviously nowadays, like there is definitely more competition in that regard of being like the best Dragon Ball game of all time. But there was a reason why it was Tenkaichi 3 for so long. And it's because Tenkaichi 3 offered you pretty much everything you could want on a silver platter. They just gave you relative freedom, right? So many characters to use and play as, a solid story mode. At the time, it was the Dragon Ball game. There was no Dragon Ball game that was out that could just surpass Tenkaichi 3. It wasn't possible. And even after the release of Tenkaichi 3, there was a ton of games that released that just couldn't hold its weight against that game, right? I mean, we had Battle of Z, we had the Xenoverse series, we've had Fighters, we've had Kakarot. Obviously, we had Legends and Dokkan since then. We had Heroes since then. And then, of course, now, Sparking Zero's coming out. Now, the thing is, this series is so beloved by a ton of Dragon Ball fans. There's so much to experience with the Tenkaichi series. Again, there is a reason as to why the internet literally exploded last year when they announced, during the Dragon Ball Games Battle Hour, that there was a new Tenkaichi coming. And there was another reason as to why the internet exploded last month when we got the revealed trailer. Not the teaser from March of last year, but the revealed trailer from December of last year, where we got the confirmation of the name, Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. There's no possible way that they can mess this game up. there's no way. Like, literally the layout has been completed for so many years. All they have to do is just elevate the combat. Obviously the graphics have been updated. Just add new characters, make story mode good. Online mode is a must now, and make sure online is good as well. And a few other refinements, and literally they have made the perfect Dragon Ball game. The combat, the music, the story, the stages, the characters, and so much more. The Tenkaichi series just offers too much to not make a Dragon Ball fan happy. And there's a reason why not only myself, but a ton of others have said that when this game releases, it will easily surpass Xenoverse 2. I've said that, I've gone on record and said that, and I still stand by saying that to this very day. Like, if they literally just make it Tenkaichi 3 while make the necessary refinements for it to be worthy of that successive title, this will easily shatter Xenoverse. And obviously it's not as if Xenoverse and Sparking Zero are in like direct competition with each other, but just the notion of which Dragon Ball game is better, I would put my money on Sparking Zero bar none, like hands down. So again, you haven't played the Tenkaichi series, this is gonna be your first game in the series, I promise you you're gonna love it. And honestly, it seems like a ton of people are of the same mind, where they wanna see some story mode, they wanna see some combat, they wanna see some characters, and so much more. There is so much that this next trailer can show us that is absolutely mind-blowing. And again, I'm pretty sure that whatever they decide to show us, it's gonna be some fire. But I do wanna know what you guys are expecting to see during the second Dragon Ball Sparking Zero trailer in the comment section below. But with that being said, I'm Ndukauba, like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.